Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, today we're plunging straight into B2B go-to-market strategy. You brought sources talking about this era of the revenue factory. And, well, let's be honest, it sounds like it's mostly driven by a bit of panic over margins. You know, the old SaaS standard LTV to CAC, maybe 3 or 4 to 1. Apparently that's just getting way too expensive.
That's absolutely right. And if you kind of zoom in on why it's breaking, it's what the sources are calling the consensus paradox. Think about it. The average B2B deal needs, 5.4 people to sign off. All those meetings, the custom pitches, the back and forth, it just balloons the human cost baked into your CAC. It's not really sustainable.
Right, paying for 5 different people just to agree. Okay, so let's unpack this ready stack zero CAC idea they propose. It's framed as an architectural disruption. But zero CAC, I mean, come on. Sounds a bit like hype, doesn't it? How does it practically shift the cost structure, not just theoretically?
It is a big shift, yeah. But maybe think less zero cost and more cost conversion and discipline. The aim is really to take those volatile acquisition costs, the risky marketing spend, and turn them into more predictable infrastructure costs. Things like partner enablement, platform TCO. It forces you to treat GTM like a factory line. Fits that revenue factory idea, capital discipline.
Okay, so cost conversion, not elimination. Makes sense. So if you're not buying the audience with ads, you're borrowing it. Which brings us to the 2 pillars in the model. First is the GTM side, PLG2 partnerships. What makes that different from, say, standard affiliate marketing?
Right. It's like affiliate marketing supercharged. It's built on this partnership multiplication effect. You're structurally borrowing audiences from trusted experts or platforms, the expert cohort they talk about. So you basically sidestep the whole volatile media buying game.
Got it. Borrow, don't buy. And the second pillar, the conversion engine, built around a pretty intense content mandate based on behavioral science. And this is where that financial maneuver comes in, right? CAC becomes GOG-GS.
Exactly. Instead of that risky upfront CAC payment, the cost becomes a predictable variable cost of goods sold through the revenue share you have with the partner. So it's tied directly to actual revenue, much less risk.
Okay, here's where I found it really interesting.
Yeah.
The fix for that consensus problem, convincing the 5.4 people, is this 7-11-4 trust rule blueprint. They've actually mapped out how to build trust using automated content. Break that down for us.
Yeah, it's quite clever, actually. It splits trust into 3 types. First, 7 hours. That's the total interaction time needed. Think long-form content, deep dives like this. That builds cognitive trust, basically, proving, your stuff, your authority. Then, 11 touch points. These are distinct engagements, little interactions. They build behavioral trust, familiarity, safety.
And those 11 touch points, that's where the automation is crucial.
Absolutely. Tools like MakesBridge, using triggers or zaps, manage these. It's like having a tireless salesperson making sure those touches happen consistently. And finally, 4 locations. Engaging across different platforms, podcast, email, social, maybe the platform itself. That builds emotional trust through, just being consistently present.
Okay, so connecting the dots. This automated sequence basically replaces a lot of the expensive human sales effort needed for that consensus. Scalable. But let's circle back to the math. If CAC gets close to 0, they claim the LTV.CAC ratio goes to, infinity. How does that land? Infinity. Sounds ambitious.
It is aggressive phrasing, for sure. But mathematically, if you divide LTV, which is positive, by a CAC that's almost 0, the result heads towards infinity. The practical impact, your CAC payback period becomes, instant, which means faster cash flow, faster reinvestment. It creates this...
So for you listening, the takeaway seems to be a shift in focus. Less raw growth hacking, maybe. More towards building and maintaining this kind of GTM infrastructure. But here's a final thought, maybe a point of tension. This model relies heavily, almost entirely, on external parties, right? The partners, the expert cohort. So if your whole system depends on them, how do you maintain quality control? How do you stop brand damage if key parts of the customer experience are kind of outsourced? Something to chew on as you look at the sources yourself.
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, today we're digging into something pretty radical, this ReadyStack OS ecosystem and how it's flipping the script on go-to-market. To really get it, you almost have to think about, the music industry shift, from CDs and radio ads.
Yeah, forced promotion, hoping for a hit.
Exactly, to just perpetual streaming royalties.
So our mission here, understand how ReadyStack OS wants to ditch that old expensive marketing, the old GTM.
All that interruption.
Right, and bring in this thing they call dark GTM, which is all about, well, organic sharing and ongoing royalties.
And that old GTM analogy, it really hits home for business software, too. I mean, think about those big record labels, right? Millions spent pushing singles, forcing you to buy a whole album.
Yeah, for maybe one song you liked.
That's the failure ReadyStack OS is aiming to fix. It's built on solving that chronic problem.
So ReadyStack OS is like the new way to deliver. It's not just software, it's a whole business process in a box.
Exactly.
Like a ready-to-go hosted thing with content, an engine, the perfectly produced song you can just use.
Brilliant.
And the vision is blending, the tech, the creativity, the economic conditions, and the failure of that old GPM. They're mixing all those ingredients to build a totally new commercial ecosystem.
But how can they even afford that? It sounds disruptive.
Oh, that's the key. The platform infrastructure, think the recording studio, the Spotify, the royalty system, it's already built, paid for. Decades of investment, lean operations. It gives them this almost unbeatable defensive advantage, a moat, basically.
Okay, infrastructure makes sense. But the money. Let's get into the numbers. Because the rewards, that's where it seems, well, revolutionary. You've got the first creator, right? The ReadyStack entrepreneur, the songwriter.
Yeah.
They put together the original ReadyStack. And they get, what is it, a 20% lifetime royalty?
20%.
Yeah.
Lifetime. It's a perpetual paycheck for that initial creation.
Wow. Okay. But then it expands.
Well, yeah, dramatically. Through the partners. These are your service providers, SaaS partners, affiliates. Think of them as the remixers.
Remixers, I like that.
They take an original ReadyStack and they tweak it. They embed their own links, their products, their services, all based on what they know works for their specific audience. Proven results.
And they're free from, like, the usual platform restrictions.
Totally free. No walled gardens, no old system baggage. They act globally but serve locally. And for every successful remix they share, they get a 40% lifetime commission.
Hold on. 40%? Plus the original 20. That's 60% royalties off the top.
Ow.
How does the company make money giving away 60% perpetually?
That's the dark GTM logic right there. Remember the infrastructure cost solution?
Right, it's already paid for.
So the royalty isn't really a cost in the old sense. It is the distribution cost. They're swapping the huge fixed cost of traditional marketing.
Like ads and sales teams.
Exactly. For a variable. Pay for performance royalty. The system rewards distribution so generously that the distribution itself becomes the main, maybe only, marketing engine needed.
Okay, that is turning the model completely on its head. And that sharing, that's the key to the flywheel effect, isn't it?
Precisely.
Every time someone shares a link, maybe in an email, a social post, it's not really a sales pitch. It's like saying, hey, check out this great song, right? It's recommending real value.
And the system rewards everyone involved in that chain with perpetual royalties. It turns that one-time effort of creating or sharing into a long-term asset. The company's marketing literally becomes a profit center for the participants.
That's wild. And then those remixers, if they get big enough.
Right, when they build a real following, critical mass, they can actually transition. They become ReadyStack entrepreneurs themselves. They start publishing their own original ReadyStacks, maybe for really niche audiences, leveraging the network they've already built.
So it just keeps feeding itself. That generosity with the royalties fuels the whole thing.
It allows for incredible generosity, which powers this self-sustaining flywheel. The more value gets shared, the more everyone benefits, the stronger the whole ecosystem gets.
Instead of hoarding the value, they basically monetize by pushing it out there as fast as possible.
Maximize distribution velocity through hypergenerosity. That's the core idea.
So wrapping this up, what does this actually mean for you, the listener? If this model works, if success is really just about organic sharing and rewarding everyone perpetually, what other traditional business model, the ones built into that cost and interruption, is next in line to be replaced by something like this perpetual profit center idea? Something to think about.
Welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into the ReadyStack model. And what's striking is how the sources we've looked at discuss it. They're not framing it as just another business plan.
No, not at all.
They describe its structure almost like a mathematical inevitability, a necessary outcome, given how markets and buyers behave now.
That's right. And it makes sense because ReadyStack seems designed from the ground up, really, to tackle a structural crisis in distribution that's been around for decades.
Okay.
So to really grasp the certainty they're talking about, you have to start with the core analogy they use, the collapse of the old music industry model.
Like the old way. Let's unpack that. The sources call it the vulture cycle, basically a costly intrusion model.
Exactly. Costly intrusion.
It meant pouring huge amounts of capital CapEx into promotion, just forcing content onto listeners who, frankly, hadn't asked for it.
Yeah, a very low probability of success, and ultimately you're just bombarding people with noise they tune out. It annoyed the customer.
So that whole cycle just proved that forced listening, it's fundamentally broken, especially now.
Absolutely broken in the digital age. The buyer, the listener, they've completely pulled back into what analysts are calling dark GTM, dark go-to-market.
Meaning they decide how and when they engage. On their terms.
Precisely. They choose.
Right.
So the only logical way forward, the analysis suggests, is this invitation era.
Okay.
Where the entire business structure has to embody this idea that value precedes transaction. You have to offer value first.
And that's where the Spotify comparison comes in, right?
Yeah.
It's powerful because you get the value of the music immediately, often for free.
Instantly.
And then success follows organically. Through sharing, through royalties, not through some massive upfront marketing blitz.
Exactly. Value first. So if intrusion broke the old model, what's the specific unit of value ReadyStack is using to invite buyers in?
That brings us to the engine, the playbook.
The playbook, yeah.
Yeah.
If you stick with the music analogy, the playbook is the hit song. It's the core value proposition.
So it's designed to solve that execution gap problem, where you have a strategy, but your tech and talent just aren't lined up.
That's the idea. It bundles the strategy, the technology, and the needed talent into one package, something you can execute immediately.
Okay, so instead of wrestling with that giant, complex MarTech tanker that takes ages to steer.
Right. The tanker analogy is good.
The playbook is like a single, ready-to-go asset. That simplicity must be what enables the really standout part. The financial model.
It absolutely is. That simplicity flows directly into what they call the royalty equation.
Which promises a 40% lifetime recurring share payment?
40% lifetime recurring.
Wow. I mean, 40%, that sounds incredibly generous compared to, well, almost any traditional industry standard.
Yeah.
Doesn't that raise flags about sustainability for the analysts? Or is this structural moat thing really that solid?
It seems to be the latter. The analysis points squarely at the structural moat. This generosity, it's only feasible because of the cost basis shield that founder Jay Adams built over decades. His long-term investment means the core assets, the OS, the recording studio and royalty system he calls MakesBridge, they're already built, already paid for.
I see. So there's no huge legacy CapEx burden weighing it down.
Exactly. Freedom from legacy CapEx, that's the absolute key. It's what creates this, this almost insurmountable barrier for anyone trying to copy it without that history.
So because that massive initial cost is already sunk, the model can actually mandate a zero CAC strategy, zero customer acquisition cost.
Correct.
The 40% royalty becomes the marketing budget, essentially. Yeah. It pays users to bring in other users. Generosity is the growth engine.
You got it. It's the direct mathematical link. Generosity drives acquisition costs down to zero. And then there's the psychology piece, how engagement reinforces that sense of inevitability.
And this is where I think it gets really interesting for understanding user behavior, that visceral hook. The daily payout.
Yes, the sources really emphasize this, a deliberate engineering choice.
So users check their score, their earnings, like they check a stock portfolio. Or maybe, their social media stats.
Pretty much. It provides this high-frequency feedback loop. Daily payouts mean high engagement, which structurally cuts down churn and boosts the predictive lifetime value. It's engineered for stickiness. Voluntary stickiness.
And this focus on structure, on new distribution models, it's not exactly new territory for the person behind it, right? Jay Adams?
No, not at all. We should definitely mention his history. He spent, 25 years evangelizing these new approaches, like Test Drive and Audio Highway back in the day.
Right.
So ReadyStack isn't some sudden pivot. The sources frame it as the third and perhaps the most sustainable evolution of a strategy he's been developing for a quarter century. It's the culmination.
So the current investment isn't just software R&D then, it's about scaling that backbone.
That's the plan. Scaling the OS to support potentially 1,000 highly efficient ReadyStack entities around the globe, all managed apparently with a kind of hybrid governance for disciplined growth and quality control.
Okay, so let's pull back for the big picture. What does all this mean when you put it together?
Well, it seems the whole system is designed to connect that radical financial structure, the 40% royalty, the zero SACSI, directly back to the core philosophy.
Value precedes transaction.
Exactly. You have to earn adoption. You can't force it anymore. The structure must reflect the philosophy.
And the analyst's conclusion is pretty stark.
It really is. They basically say the combined financial and philosophical value proposition here is so compelling that, and I'm quoting loosely here, the world has to sell itself not to do it.
That is a powerful statement. And it leaves us, and you, the listener, with a provocative thought. What other industries, traditionally burdened by high capex, think manufacturing, maybe infrastructure, even telecom, are sitting on decades of pre-built, perhaps underutilized assets?
Where could a similar structural moat inversion happen?
Exactly. Where could someone leverage that history to suddenly offer radical generosity and just completely change